All right. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing really well. As always, happy to be greeting you here from another sunny, hot day in Colorado. A little overcast, a little muggy. Been a little bit of a muggy summer, actually, kind of weird for Colorado. Usually pretty dry, but it's been good. But yeah, listen, if you want to change your experience, if you want to change your outcome and your life, what's keeping you trapped is your focus. All right. Just read, again, this quote I've seen before, but I was just reminded of this quote from Albert Einstein that you cannot solve your problems with the same thinking that created your problems. Which I'm paraphrasing, I probably botched it. But anyway, let's dive into this today. How do you shift your focus? Because your focus can be keeping you trapped. Focus is a powerful force that we all have, but oftentimes it can actually be creating your prison. Okay. It can be creating a very negative experience that then becomes your life, right? All right. So my name's Peter Lynch. As always, excited to be talking to you about anything and everything that has to do with taking your performance and your life to that next level so you can live at your highest and best, experience your highest and best, be your best self, get the most done, and feel good about the process, right? It's about getting more done with less time and feeling fulfilled and pursuing your passion and your purpose and really living in tune with yourself. As always, that's what I'm here to talk about, here to help you achieve. If you want to dive deeper, head on over to lynchcall.com. Got a great new training I put together over there about how to really find yourself, know your purpose, and live with power. I'm excited to share that with you over at lynchcall.com. Let's dive in today about focus, how to shift it, how to direct it, and how to create a new outcome, which changes, right? Which shifting your focus changes your outcome, which then changes your life. All right. So if you're focused on the negative, wherever your focus goes, energy flows, right? Tony Robbins says that. And I believe it's true. I know it to be true from my experience. And who better to know about this stuff than Tony too? The man's phenomenal. But anyway, right? It's true. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So where are you putting your focus? Are you putting your focus on the problems, or are you trying to focus on the solutions, right? So many times when we're faced with problems, all that comes to mind is more about the problem. Well, there's this aspect of the problem and there's this other aspect of the problem. And did I mention that there's icing on top of the problem? And somebody put a cherry on top of my problem with whipped cream on top of my problem. And you're like, really? You know your problem so intimately, but have you thought about the solution, right? So focusing on the problem creates a prison. So then you're trapped and overwhelmed, right? Because again, what you're giving your energy to, that's what grows. So when you're focused on the problem, you're giving your energy to the problem, and the problem grows till it's insurmountable. And then what happens is really ultimately we victimize ourselves, and then it becomes an excuse for not moving forward, for not achieving a higher level. Okay. And that's the underlying issue, that if you want to change your life, it takes courage and it takes hard work. It takes real work to acknowledge, where am I stopping myself? Where am I victimizing myself? Okay. Where am I allowing my problems to be so big that they become an excuse for me to not step up to that next level? That's really what this comes down to. That's the major block that stops people from overcoming their problems, is really victim mentality. So let's kick that to the curb together, because I struggle with it. We all struggle with it. It's human nature. We'd rather have some kind of an excuse for why we didn't step up to the plate, other than, well, honestly, because I just was being a coward, right? Because that's what it does come down to. But when you want to grow, it takes swallowing that bitter pill of self-recognition, so that then it can, right? You can't go to the doctor. The doctor can't treat you, right? If he doesn't know what's wrong. He's not going to know what's wrong if you don't let him examine you. So you got to examine yourself and get some help. Getting coaching, getting outside perspective has been some of the most powerful, one of the most powerful things for me, in my growth. Really, I can't attribute anything else more than getting coaching and guidance right? So get that for yourself in this as well, because it'll take this process and accelerate it like nothing else can. Okay, so but where are you focusing? Again, what are the questions that you're asking? So how do you change your thinking? Back to that quote by Einstein, right? How do you change your thinking? If you can't solve the problem with the same thinking that got you there, how do you change that? Well, how do you shift your focus, right? You start asking different questions. Instead of asking, well, how big is this problem? How hard is it? Instead, it's like, how can I get around this problem? What am I trying to achieve, right? So many people struggle with productivity, feeling like you can't get enough done. Well, part of it's because you're looking at what should I do instead of why am I doing it? Or what do I want to accomplish? What do I want? Instead of just what can I do next? What can I do next is busy work to fill your time, to escape. It's nothing more than, in the end, it becomes escapism. It becomes another type of drug. I feel like the lighting in here is awful. I don't know. Anyway, let me know. I'll try to fix that. And do also, before I forget to, let me know if you can hear me all right. I'm always trying to work on the sound quality and all this stuff, trying to get all the tech dialed in so you guys can, hear what I've got to say. So do let me know. Anyway, back to the problems though, right? Hey, you're never going to get past your problem when you focus on the problem. You have to focus on the solution. You have to change your question. Where am I going? What do I want? Because then when you know where you want to go, then you can see past your problem. The other thing that's going on here is your problem. Let's see if you can see this, right? If you're right here, if this is your plane that you're sitting, right, if that's the plane that you're standing on, you are here. Okay? Obstacle comes in. It goes like that. Well, if your line of sight, if what you're looking at, if what you're focusing on, if your line of sight, if you don't look higher than the problem, most of the time, honestly, it's like this. I'm looking down at the ground. I don't even want to look at my problems because, they're just too big. I don't know, right? Nah, look, yeah, it's an obstacle. It is in your way. It happens. You can't ignore this stuff, right? All the positive thinking in the world doesn't make that go away. But what will overcome it is if you have a goal, if you're shooting for the mountaintop, show up, yeah. If you're shooting for the mountaintop, guess what? Now your line of sight, you can look over your obstacle. You know where you're going. That will give you power, motivation, and the ability to look past your problems, to know how to get through them, how to get around them. If you have nothing more to live for and aim for, then yes, your problems will overwhelm you. So you have to give yourself something to, right? You have to give yourself something to work for, to look forward to. Where's your motivation? If your motivation is just do this or else, then it's going to run out, right? You have to have inspiration. You have to have something that draws you forward and surpasses your own willpower, because our willpower will always fail. It does. It runs out, It's like trying to, like change something by like, oh, I'm just going to focus, It never works. We get tired eventually, is my point, right? Willpower is like anything. It takes energy, and our energy is not unending. So don't rely only on willpower. Give yourself something to live for, to draw you forward, to be able to aim for and reach for that's higher, greater than your obstacles. And then you can shift your focus. See? If you don't have something else to focus on, then yeah. So what are you supposed to do? Where are you supposed to focus? If this is all you've got, then yeah, that's pretty empty, pretty depressing, right? Pretty unfulfilling. But then when you have something to focus on, that's the key, right? So how do you shift your focus? Well, by giving yourself something better to focus on. Hey, I got my degree in rocket science. Not really. I did work on some engines, but they weren't rocket engines. But you get the point. It's simple stuff. It's fundamentals. It's basics. But when you go back to the basics, that's where things really shift. It's about a tectonic shift in your life, making that tectonic shift in your own experience, in your own in your own right, in your day-to-day routines and all of these things. When you go deep with it, that's where you find a lasting change. If you're always working on the surface level, it takes a whole lot more work. You never have the leverage, and it doesn't sink in to the level that it needs to. Okay. So that, but when you go to the basics, you can start to face these kind of very underlying tectonic type shifts that need to happen. If you're feeling overwhelmed and discouraged, it's probably because you don't have something more to live for, which ties into that training over at lynchcall.com. I encourage you to go watch, because I'm going to talk to you there about finding your purpose and how integral that is to your whole well-being and your whole life experience. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to try to cut this off here so I don't just ramble on forever, but this is the point, right? Your focus can keep you trapped. When this is your focus, it becomes a prison because you have nothing beyond that. You can't see beyond it. So it keeps you trapped inside your problems, inside your shortcomings, inside your failures. And that's tragic, but it doesn't need to be that way. Give yourself something to focus on that's positive, and then that will shift your thinking as well, because this is also a different way of thinking. Okay? That's where your thinking changes with your focus, right? So then when you're thinking about the positive outcome, your mind is so powerful. We don't understand. So when you give yourself something positive to aim for, your mind will go to work to solve these problems. And then at the end of it, when you look back from the mountaintop, you're going to be like, really? It looks like a pebble on the path down below. You know what I mean? Like hiking mountains. Honestly, it's been a while since I've been to the top of a peak, but there's some good mountains here in Colorado to hike, let me tell you. And it's crazy, like hiking these 14ers, which means a peak that's over 14,000 feet. And in the middle of the trail, it can feel like, oh my God, this is never going to end. And you're looking up at this ridge and you can't even see past it, right? Can't even see past this ridge. And you're like, good Lord, I'm going to die. Why am I doing this to myself? My feet hurt. This is dumb. And this ridge sucks. And you get to the top of the ridge, and then there's the peak, and you get to the peak, get to the top of the peak, and it's exhilarating. And you get this beautiful vista. You feel accomplished. It's great. But the other thing is you look back at that ridge that was kicking your ass, and you're like, really? Looks like nothing from up here. And that's how it is with these challenges too. When you can get to that next level, you're going to look back and you're going to realize, because you've grown. That's what it is, right? This challenge is no longer greater than you because you've become greater than your challenges. Then you're able to tackle bigger challenges. You got it. But that's what the world needs, okay? The world needs people that can step up to the plate and solve bigger problems, bigger than their own little problems, right? That's what, unfortunately, in the world we live in, too much is self-centered, self-focused, and just worried about my problems. Me. How can I get something more? It's very selfish and self-centered. If you want to make a difference in the world, start solving bigger problems that impact the community around you, not just you, okay? How can you feed 100 people, not just yourself today, right? That's a meaningful problem, and you will feel a whole lot more fulfilled in the process. All right. Thanks for watching this. As always, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Send me a message. I love hearing from you. Give me your questions, your feedback, your comments. I'll read them. I'll definitely be getting back in touch with you directly. And again, make sure you head on over to lynchcall.com. I've got a great training over there, and look forward to talking to you next time. All right. See you all then.